The Inland Empire was once an affordable alternative to Los Angeles. However, according to economics professor Daniel McDonald, the cost of living relative to the rest of the US is declining in LA but rising in the IE. This means that although the housing in LA is more expensive, the cost of living is increasing at a faster rate here in the IE than it is in LA, creating heavier financial pressure on families. According to a UCR report, almost 41.5% of households in the IE spend more than 30% of their income on housing alone. This leaves a very limited budget for all other living expenses. This is causing more and more people to live in overcrowded apartments or houses in order to afford living in the area. The same UCR study shows that as of 2019, the IE is the third most overcrowded region in the United States. Just take a look at parking lots or the streets outside apartment complexes, and you will see that cars fill up every single spot. Despite this knowledge, we've seen warehouse after warehouse being built in our communities, luxury apartments after luxury apartments being built with very little emphasis on affordable housing. Therefore, it's time we question who these IE leaders actually represent. Do they represent the residents in their communities, or do they represent the wealthy corporations and wealthy people that donate to their campaigns? In this video, we're going to see who is donating to city officials and see why affordable housing hasn't been at the forefront of their initiatives. I will primarily focus on the city of Ontario, California, because they are one of the most impacted cities in the area, and they are a great example of what can happen to more and more cities in the IE if we don't speak out against it now. It's pretty obvious that Ontario has grown drastically over the past 10 years. Although this has created some economic growth for the city, this growth has come with significant gentrification of the existing community, pricing out many residents that grew up in the city. This graph tracks the income of Ontario residents over time. We can see that the population of people making well over $100,000 a year has increased dramatically over the years. Despite people with more money moving into the city, from 2016 to 2020, 45% of households were spending more than 30% of their income on rent alone. This shows that many people are struggling to afford housing in Ontario, meaning they would benefit from affordable housing. So, why is the city so inclined to bring in more luxury apartments or building a new baseball stadium when 45% of residents are struggling to afford rent? An investigation showed that in 2020 alone, Ontario City Council members received at least $160,000 in campaign contributions from developers and real estate interests. In 2020, the mayor pro temp of the city, Alan Wapner, received $52,000 in donations from commercial real estate firms and developers. One of the names that consistently pops up in their campaign contributions is someone by the name of Jeffrey Palmer. So, who is Jeffrey Palmer? Jeffrey Palmer is one of the biggest billionaire developers in LA County with over 13,000 rental units to his name. According to Forbes, Palmer made most of his fortune by developing properties in historically low income neighborhoods and then installing high end apartments that price out local residents. He's not just a developer, though. He's one of the biggest anti affordable housing advocates in the area. He has called rent control and inclusionary housing immoral. He has sued the city of LA and many other cities multiple times over affordable housing requirements. And he has spent millions of dollars campaigning against rent control and affordable housing initiatives. So it would make sense why he's targeting Ontario, given that many families are struggling to live in the area. What does this say about the politicians that he donates money to? Do you think someone like Jeffrey Palmer, who spends millions of dollars fighting against affordable housing, would donate to people that don't align with his own views? Could this be the reason why city council members like Alan Wapner and Paul Leon would want to look the other way while Ontario residents continue to be priced out of their communities? Jeffrey Palmer already has over 1,000 rental units in Ontario alone, and over 100 units in the city of Upland. It's only a matter of time before he continues to expand his unaffordable luxury apartments all across the IE. Let's take a look at another sponsor, Sarah Regis Group, or SRG. They have donated multiple times to both Paul Leon and Alan Wapner. Not only has the company donated to their campaigns, but many members of the company have also donated, such as its founder, John Hagstad, and Peter Rooney, the manager, director, and co-president of the company. Not only does SRG manage unaffordable luxury rental units, they also manage many commercial properties in the area. So do you think they would want affordable housing to be built? Affordable housing that would compete against their luxury apartments? Or a new baseball stadium with no competition? A new stadium they can use as leverage to increase the cost of rent? Just like Jeffrey Palmer, SRG is constantly donating money to organizations that stop affordable housing legislation from being passed. According to reports, in 2024 alone, Sarah Regis donated over $250,000 to the California Apartment Association to defeat Prop 33 for affordable housing. Not only did they donate thousands of dollars to the California Apartment Association, many SRG employees sit on their board. So, who is the California Apartment Association? Apart from also donating to the campaign of Paul Leon, the California Apartment Association is the largest trade group that represents owners, investors, developers, managers, and suppliers of rental units. They basically represent everyone except one major group, the renters. According to their website, they have a proven track record of defeating numerous proposals that threaten the rental housing industry. So let's take a look at two proposals the California Apartment Association opposed to get a better understanding on where they stand. First is AB 2584. This proposal sought to limit the corporate ownership of single family homes. Like I mentioned earlier, this didn't pass thanks in part to the lobbying of the California Apartment Association, allowing big corporations to continue buying single family homes. Another bill they opposed was SB 466. This bill sought to expand rent control all across California, and again, it didn't pass. So, do you see the pattern? Do you see what these companies are doing? Let's say a family wants to buy a home, but unfortunately, they get outbid not by another family, but by a real estate company. Since that company throws thousands of dollars to stop legislation preventing them from buying single family homes, they can continue to outbid families all across the IE. Since most families can't outbid multi-million-dollar companies, now that family is forced to rent, and more than likely, they are now renting from the same company that outbid them for a home in the first place. And since that same company also fights against rent control, that family now has nowhere they can turn for housing they can afford. Now think about if you would be okay with fast food companies lobbying against healthy foods if it meant it threatened the fast food industry. Or what about a pharmacy company lobbying against cures for diseases if it meant it threatened the pharmacy industry? Would you be okay with that? So why are we supposed to sit back and allow companies to do this for housing? What does this say about Paul Leon and Alan Wapner? What does this say about these so-called Ontario leaders? Could this be the reason why luxury rental units continue popping up in the city? Could this be the reason why Ontario City Council members push to build a new sports complex instead of affordable housing for the community? Now, I can go on and on showing you more companies and more people that donate to the campaigns. However, I want to spend some time discussing counter arguments people may have to what I've shown you. The first one being you don't know what you're talking about because the city of Ontario does have affordable housing. For example, there's Emporia Place 1 and 2, and then there's also Vista Verde apartments. Unfortunately, we can't compare 226 affordable rental units to the thousands of luxury apartments popping up in the city. With such a limited amount of affordable housing, the moment applications open to the public, spots fill up instantly, creating a multi year waitlist and even a waitlist for the waitlist. So you may be thinking, doesn't Ontario have a solution to this problem? Because in 2022, they adopted a plan to build thousands of affordable housing units by 2029. Now, these are a few solid ideas, but it's not enough. According to the IE Business Journal, although the city committed to these goals of building more affordable housing, the city is not actually required to build the number of housing units they promised. The number of units they will be determined by the point in time demand. This means that companies can continue to charge high rents, gentrify the area, and cause people to leave the city, making it seem that the demand for affordable housing isn't high. Then it will give Ontario justification not to build the affordable housing they promised. Instead, the city will build more warehouses, more luxury apartments, and more stadiums. We have already seen this happen before. According to the IE Business Daily, the land where Ontario's new baseball stadium O&T Field lives was actually supposed to be for housing, but it was rezoned for recreational and commercial use. Their reasoning will always be that it's for the benefit of the community. But is it really? The last time I checked, people can't live in a baseball stadium. So is it the community or the wealthy investors that are benefiting? Another counter argument someone may have is that affordable housing is too expensive to build. Building is expensive, but you know what else is expensive? A new baseball stadium that wasn't needed. According to the Daily Bulletin, the new baseball stadium cost the city of Ontario about $100 million. So how did the city get the money to build this $100 million stadium? Well, O&T Field was partially funded by Measure Q. Now, Measure Q was a tax increase approved by Ontario residents who believed the 1% tax increase was meant to improve the community. So instead of building the housing the community desperately needed, the city raised taxes on the people already struggling to afford rent and then used that money to build a stadium in an area that was designated for housing. And I know a lot of people are excited to have this baseball stadium and are really excited about this new baseball team, especially when they are affiliated with the Dodgers. but I doubt many people are willing to sacrifice their family's homes over a sports team. Some people may say that Measure Q only increased the taxes by 1%, and that's really not that much when you really think about it. Well, let's see where else the city could have collected that money. In 2015, the City of Ontario approved the construction of a QVC warehouse. Sounds good, right? Well, part of the deal, which also included our friends at SRG, stated that the City of Ontario would pay back QVC 55% of the taxes they collected, up to $500 million, dollars, and after that, Ontario would pay them back 60% of the taxes they collected for the next 41 years. The City of Ontario also gave a similar deal to Nike to build a warehouse in the area, and similar to QVC, Ontario agreed to pay them back 50% of the taxes they collected. So, in other words, they gave large tax breaks and land usage to these million and billion dollar companies while increasing the taxes on the working people of Ontario. Now, I already hear the next counter argument. Who cares about these warehouses? Who cares about the city building a new stadium? Who cares if they build more luxury apartments? All of these things bring jobs to the city, right? But what type of jobs will it actually bring? The majority of them will be minimum wage paying jobs that won't come close to covering the cost of rent in the area, especially when you have companies in the same city campaigning against affordable housing. I want to quickly address two more arguments that people have to justify that gentrification of Ontario and our communities. The first one being that these changes have caused the city to be safer, and the second being who wouldn't want to live in a luxury apartment next to a baseball stadium? While it may be true that Ontario is a little safer, just because you don't make hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, that doesn't mean that you should live around crime. Just because you can't afford to pay high rents doesn't mean that your family should live in fear of crime. Working class families deserve to live in safe neighborhoods too, and we shouldn't have to sacrifice affordability for safety. Lastly, yes, living in a multi rise luxury apartment building walking distance to a baseball stadium is nice. But you know what is nicer? Not having to drive 100 miles to get to work. It's much nicer not having to constantly move apartments or move cities because rent keeps getting more and more expensive. To end this video, I know I spent the majority of time talking about the city of Ontario. However, this isn't just an Ontario problem. This is happening to cities across the IE. Many city leaders are receiving campaign donations from wealthy real estate companies to allow more luxury apartments to be built while the cost of housing continues to increase. We have the mayor of Fontana getting donations from real estate companies. Same thing with the city of Moreno Valley. This problem is not just at the city level either. Almost every member of the San Bernardino Board of Supervisors is getting donations from real estate groups. At what point do we say enough? At what point do we start speaking up against these practices and start demanding projects that actually benefit the community, not just the wealthy companies? Some cities have recently passed legislation to help homeless individuals. While these initiatives are great, they are not the solution to the problem we are facing in our communities. You can buy buckets to take water out of a sinking boat, but it's not until you patch the hole where the water is entering that the boat will stop sinking. It's time we question who these IE leaders actually represent: the people in their communities or the corporations and wealthy people that donate thousands of dollars to their campaigns.